Welcome, everyone. It's the Mike Tech Show, show number 881. Tonight's show, a large increase of spam emails, and I'm going to talk about where they're coming from, or at least the email accounts, and a couple solutions on what to do for this. SureWeb outage last week that made me think of the two clients that weren't immediately impacted because of them using Proofpoint. We have a story about if lost luggage, but not so much lost, but what if you forget your bag in a hotel before you take off, maybe before you take off to the airport or before you're driving away, and a couple solutions that I have not implemented, but something to think about. And then I'm going to put it out there. What else can we do to try to prevent that? And then a little stack of listener email. So let's get this started. I received 2 phone calls, and then I started Googling this, and there's a lot of large amounts of spam coming from accounts that are .onmicrosoft.com. So you're like, what is that? If you're not familiar, if you're an MSP or you're doing what I'm doing and you're reselling or helping people get set up with Microsoft Business 365 accounts, we're very familiar with that default account that gets created. So really, what is it? And the first link for tonight explains what that is. When a company or school signs up for Office 365 for Business subscription, Microsoft will create a new domain with this on Microsoft.com. So, for example, if you're Costco and you're signing up and that's the domain, it's going to create at Costco.onmicrosoft.com. Or for me, MHS Consulting, it would be at mhsconsulting.onmicrosoft.com. And that's until you onboard and verify your real actual domain, and then start the process of converting over, changing the MX records, and going through the email migration. So that's the way Microsoft quickly creates a domain under what we call the tenant for that domain and for that company. And now you can start, getting ready and getting set up, start creating accounts. Then you got to verify your regular domain. So this is where all of these are coming from. And they're coming all of a sudden, and they're coming from all kinds of crazy mixed up names, a bunch of just gibberish letters, and then .onmicrosoft.com. So most likely, nobody is going to be really sending emails from that account. So I have a solution to block all on Microsoft.com domains for any email coming through. So the first link is, what do you do if you are like Outlook.com? And this will give you an example of setting up a rule where, maybe your Gmail or maybe your, something else. And you want to create a rule where the condition where the sender address includes on Microsoft. Then you want to mark as read and then delete if you can add those actions. So I'm going to have a link to the details and the screenshots of blocking that. Okay, that's one. The second one is, of course, you can always go to the junk folder and block on Microsoft.com the generic domain, any sender that is from that, and then it will go to the junk. That's certainly, you can do that. But what do you do in your Microsoft 365 tenant, which was what I had to do for 2 clients? So I have the details of where you have to go into the security section, and under the Microsoft 365 Defender portal, what you do is go to tenant allow block list. Well, first you go policies and rules, then threat policy rules, then tenant allow block lists, and then in there add the domain. And now you can set it 1 day, 7 days, 30 days is default, or never expire. So until Microsoft gets a grip on this and starts blocking it on their own, which they should be able to do, this is all coming from Microsoft servers, they should be able to do this. So if just in case they don't, I can always make it never expire, but right now I set them at 30 days. So I'm going to take a look at this. I have a reminder that in like 25 days, take a look, see what's going on with the situation. But email was almost unusable for 2 of my Microsoft clients because of the influx of spam. It was just devastating. The thousands of spam messages that they were getting, it was really bad. So once I seen that and happening with 2 clients on the same day, I'm like, this has got to be a big problem. And it is, if you start to Google this. So I wanted to present a couple solutions. If you're out there and you're faced with this and you have something better or more clever, share it with me, and I will talk about it next week. So, email me, miketechshow@gmail.com. Would really, really appreciate it. So now in the midst of this, we can't get away from email problems. So SureWeb has multiple forms of servers for different Exchange versions. So Exchange 2019, they have their webmail is called webmail19.surewebcloud.com if you're going to get your email via the web. And of course, SureWeb is a Microsoft reseller, and they're also an Exchange hosted email provider. Well, the other day they were down for 3 hours, and that's bad. I mean, that's really bad. And when I say the other day, was it yesterday? Might have been yesterday. Wednesday, because it was like from noon until 3. And 2 of my clients contacted me that people were getting a rejected message stating that the email could not be delivered because the server was not available for who they were sending it to. And this was a message from Proofpoint. This happens 2 of my clients where they knew right away because someone that they were was emailing them, and they got this rejected message, but the message got delivered to Proofpoint. Proofpoint could not relay it to SureWeb because the 19 servers, the MX-19 or MX-19-1, MX-19-2, wherever they point to, they were down. So Proofpoint didn't know how to deliver it. Now, this is interesting, and if you buy Proofpoint, which is really for encrypted email and other security, and you've heard me talk about Proofpoint, and I've always put a link up, and I'll have another link for in the show notes for Proofpoint, but this is an extra nice advantage of Proofpoint. If they can't deliver an email message, there is an option to click on the emergency inbox, and all of those messages are right there. So I showed both my clients during this outage where they could just go on the web, log into their Proofpoint account, click emergency inbox. There you go. So that's just another plus for having Proofpoint. To give you an idea, it's like $4 or $5 a month addition per account as we add them on for SureWeb. When I have a client that needs the full encryption to be able to send messages encrypted, where it presents it with a portal option, the person has to log in, they're verified with their email address, and then you can send messages back and forth. My accountant sends me all my info that way. If you have a financial advisor, that's anything dealing with financial or, your credit cards, that's a secured portal. That's how they communicate with you. Well, anyone can do that, but with SureWeb, you got to add that on. With Microsoft, you have to buy the security package, and that's usually E5, where you can then have encryption built in, but that's a lot more per user. So we weigh the money. Do they need Microsoft Office? If this is a small business and they need encryption, if they need Microsoft Office, then I go directly to Microsoft. If they want to save money they want hosted exchange, they don't need Office, but they need encryption, then it's SureWeb with Proofpoint. And I have a bunch of clients in that scenario. So now, and it's interesting, Dexter's in the chat here because I'm actually going to read your email tonight. One of the things, since he's also a SureWeb user, that they don't admit it on their status page, but the tech admitted it to me when I called. So, and that was just level 1. I called tech support and I had to wait. Finally got a human being. And I said, what's going on? And he said, the servers are just coming up. They do have an outage, and they sent me to the status page. Well, the status page didn't give me any information. So they're not even good anymore at updating the status that there was an outage, and it happened at noon Eastern time for anybody that was on what we call the Exchange 2019 servers. I know I have a lot of clients that were impacted and just never noticed that they weren't getting any new emails for a couple hours. So, boy, if I went a couple hours without an email, I know something's wrong. I get so much email for all my different accounts. So that's been this week, battling spam, I am still continuing battling Outlook problems. And Microsoft, it's amazing what they do with their updates. And I have some great emails on the last show just verifying that all of you are going through this. So, Dexter says the 19 servers have had a lot of issues this year. That is correct. They have been. So I have a lot of clients. Most of my clients are on Exchange 2016, which is Webmail 14. I know anybody listening here doesn't make sense. If you are a SureWeb reseller or partner, you completely understand what I just said. So everybody's got issues. I get it. But be upfront about it. Be upfront. You got a problem? Post it up. And I haven't mentioned Magnus Box in a long time because I know, they're not sponsoring anymore, but that's something they are very open when there is an issue. They post it up. That transparency, that's what we want to see. Nobody's perfect. You can't have a perfect data center. You can't have everything perfect. There's no such thing as 100% uptime. It's just not going to happen. But when there is an issue, be upfront, be honest, be transparent. And that's what users want. That's what we want as MSPs. That's what the end user wants. Be honest. If I'm having an internet problem and I'm dialing Verizon, I want to hear on the message, we are experiencing an internet outage in your area. Great. Okay. I hang up. I'm not going to tie them up and talk to a tech and try things because they're having an outage. They're having a problem. I don't like it. I'm not happy about it. But I can stop doing what I'm trying to do to resolve it. So that's the one thing I want ISPs. They absolutely need to be upfront. Oh, truth lives, a lie has to have life pumped into it. It's coming from the chat. That's great. So be that way for yourself, for your services, whatever you're doing. Be transparent with your clients. Let them know this is what's happening. This is what, there's a lot of times I have to fall on my sword. Hey, my fault. Sorry about that. Gonna put controls in place to make sure it never happens again. That's all. You're going to try your best to make sure it doesn't happen again. So that's been this week, my life with email and Outlook, and there's just been, so many problems. And we just got to roll with them and deal with them. So first email tonight is from Dexter, and he asks a question that I want to know, is there something easier? And I'm going to tell you how I answered him. And he says, do you know a way to force a domain-joined computer to save all items to a network share on a server? And yes, I lived that, but pre-2008. That's been a long time ago, so I couldn't tell you. It's definitely with group policies, and the key word is roaming profiles. And that's all I remembered, that if you have roaming profiles, and there's some positive things, yes, everything's on the server, but if they have large desktop and tons of info on the desktop and they go to sign into a new system, their whole profile has to be transferred. Go get a cup of coffee or something possibly before they finished logging in. So there's good and bad with roaming profiles, but that is exactly what I believe is the solution. So very interesting. And also Dexter had a SureWeb question for me. You know what? I'm going to be honest here. He says, do you know a warm body at SureWeb to talk to? And I'm like, no, I don't. So that's been a problem. I don't know anybody at SureWeb anymore. I used to know a couple people, but not anymore. And they weren't in tech support. They were mostly sales. This is from Larry. And the title of this email, your show solved an intermittent problem. Hi, Mike. I'm a YouTube subscriber of your show. In show 880, you solicited emails. So here it goes. I have an old 2010 Gateway NV59C laptop running Windows 10 Home 22H2, which is plenty good enough for what I use it for: email, Facebook, light picture processing. My computer desk is in my bedroom because that's where there's room. I turn the laptop off at night because it has annoying blue status lights, and the fan that's seemingly silent during the day is unusually annoying at night. The Saturday following the November 2022 Patch Tuesday, the laptop failed to boot on the first attempt. After the post screen, I'd get the Windows with the little comet chasing its tail, and it would be stuck there. Cycle the power, and it'd boot normally. The failure to boot on the first attempt was random. Sometimes it wouldn't happen for 5 days. Sometimes every other time. It would occur just as often on restarts as it did with cold boots. I have fast startup turned off, which is what I would have recommended. That's something we do all the time. So I started internet research and went down 100 rabbit holes. I saw Bugs Bunny, who said he knew he should have taken that left turn at Albuquerque. I would watch what physically occurred and when on startup with a stopwatch. Wow. I would have redid the system. I would have just, I wouldn't have been able to take it anymore. You have a lot of patience, sir. I learned about log files and turned on some additional logging features. In May, after Windows 10 invoked a restore point and botched things up, I formatted, installed a clean Windows 10 Home 22H2, then restored with Acronis. That seemed to fix things until the June Patch Tuesday, then back to the same old nonsense. Then I watched your show 878 and your process for setting up new computers. The moment came at 1524 to 1657, where you went into power settings for network adapters. I'd never messed with power settings, as of course everything was at the default settings for balanced mode. I unchecked the allow computer to turn off the device to save power, and I haven't had a failed startup since. That's awesome. I had been noticing that when the computer boots successfully, the Wi-Fi LED always blinked about 17 seconds after the power button was pressed. But when the computer didn't boot, the Wi-Fi LED never blinked. I've since been through the September Patch Tuesday, and everything continues to run fine. Love the show. I'm retired now, but have been using computers from the late 1970s, the DEC PDP-11. That's awesome. Running RSTSE to the 1980s Berkeley Unix based PDP 1170s and VAX 11780s. By the way, I have some VAX experience. To Data General's Eclipse S230s. Man, Larry, you're really dating yourself. And he continues in the National Weather Service into the 1990s to scientific workstations running HP UX. Hey, I managed HP Unix running Oracle for a PeopleSoft ERP system. Okay. Let's see. From the 2000s, and my main driver at home is a Linux desktop. That's great, Larry. Thanks for sharing all that. And I'm glad that a tip really helped something that's been pestering you. So now when you give your background, I now understand your thorough logic and persistence at the problem. So thank you, and thanks for subscribing and listening. And remember, what Larry mentioned, you can subscribe too. Go over to youtube.com/Michael Smith MTS. That for YouTube, or just go to MikeTechShow.com and you'll find the YouTube link and click the subscribe button. Okay. This is from Jeremy. This is your loyal fan and loyal listener, Jeremy. I have been a listener of yours ever since 2007 or 2008. The last episode you had was a very good one. I have been having some of the problems in the Microsoft products that you were mentioning, and it is great to know that I am not alone. I am a screen user of JAWS. When you talk about your screen, what would be the key combinations that you would use to repair the programs? Also, I have been really missing the Tech Vets podcast. When will you put out more of those? Sincerely, your loyal fan and loyal listener, Jeremy. Jeremy, thanks for listening. So, to do the repair, what are the exact keystrokes? You have to make your way, and I don't know how to do this in JAWS. So, if someone mentions JAWS, then they have a vision problem. He's either blind or partially blind, and JAWS, I believe, reads the screen when you're working with it. So I've never used it, but that's, I think, what I know. You need to make your way to programs and features, and then you would pick the Microsoft Office version. So there's no real keys to hit. You'd have to search for the program for Microsoft Office, and then you would click change or modify, not remove, change or modify, and then you're going to get the option to do a quick repair or an online repair. The quick repair does some things to actually just fix the whole Office suite. The online repair does a complete uninstall and reinstall of that version of Office. So, Jeremy, I hope that helps. And it's interesting. You've made me now very conscious of going and displaying things. When I demonstrate it, I also have to describe it better. And I've gotten that feedback from a couple listeners, and Kate knows who she is. So saying, hey, Mike, I'm not watching on YouTube. I'm listening. So you're, flirting around with different things and clicking, I can't see that. So I got to remember the bulk of my listeners are audio. And so I'm going to be more conscious of describing what I also could be showing on YouTube. So let's be inclusive of everybody. So thank you. Okay. This is from Paul. And then don't worry, I have another topic that I skipped over that I have a reminder here at the end, and I'm gonna mention that. I've started. This is from who is this? This is from Paul. I've started seeing this pop up lately in Outlook, which drove me nuts until I find the fix. Seeing endless Outlook closed while you had items open prompts. He found the solution, and I'm going to post the link that Paul shared. It's great. Scroll down. There was a registry edit that you need to put in if you're hitting this problem with Outlook. So this is one that I'm not running into as much as Paul's running into, but it's great that if there's a specific Outlook or Office problem, and this is the fix, boy, hit me up with that. I am going to cover it right away as we compile the master list and tools and tips for fixing and maintaining Office, because we need to be armed as we go to war. All right. He continues, really enjoyed your show last Thursday and loved the stories of In the Trenches. Maybe you have already run into this, but it's so easy to fix, just couldn't help dropping you a note. I've had quite a year, and I forgot, and Paul reminded me, I helped him with a project, and I'm glad, and so thoughts and prayers are with you, Paul, for everything else, and thanks for checking in and sharing that. So, what do you do if you have lots of bags? You know, we got our computer bag, we got our clothes, and we're traveling. Every bag we need to identify, and then there has to be a check, sort of in the lobby or at the car. The lobby, I say, just in case, hey, you're heading to the airport. How do we prevent from leaving a bag at a hotel and then driving 13 hours and realizing it after 13 hours? Some of you may know, some of you may not, based on posts. I assisted someone last week who forgot a bag, and it was a big bag, and it was a heavy bag, and then had to take it to get shipped. But how do we prevent that? Air tags. And there's got to be an equivalent outside of the Apple ecosystem, but I know within the Apple ecosystem, you put the tags, at least one, for every bag that you take with you. Maybe it's like here you go. Maybe it's a bag that you carry cold water and there's ice, boom, on that bag. Every bag you should put one of these air tags, and then do a check-in. Make sure everything's responding before you go. If you have other solutions for this, what are you doing? What do you know of that's outside of air tags? And I will cover that. So take a moment and email me, miketechshow@gmail.com, and I will cover it. Send me a link, even if it's purchased from Amazon or whatever. Let me know, and send it. Send it to me. So that's and now I'm wondering. Alaskan in the chat has mentioned something about earbuds, and he has a set of earbuds that has that built in. Well, here's the thing. What if you don't have that built in with your earbuds, and that's something small? So what can we tag for small items that we may not have put in the bag? What if it's an important item that we left on the bureau? So tagging the bags doesn't help us. We got to also be able to tag important devices. So your laptop, your iPad, we got to be able to tag enough items that we're ready to leave the hotel or a friend's house, do a check, and we want to be able to check everything. Do we have everything? So, and maybe it's just, a reminder in our phone, like an appointment, listing everything so you can go through and go, okay, let me look around here and just, hey, this is how I entered the hotel with A, B, C, D, E, and you want to make sure you're leaving with A, B, C, D, E. So, let's see. Alaskan continues. I have a set of earbuds. Okay, it has it built in. Tiles are about the size of air tags. Then and they are trackers you can slip into your wallet. Yes, because you want one in your wallet. You don't want to leave or forget your wallet somewheres. Anyway, this is, I think, a great topic and can save people a lot of anguish, time, money, and I think it would be very, very good. So that is it for tonight. And I want to thank everybody for staying subscribed to the show. I really appreciate it. And next week will be, if everything goes well, the last show from Pennsylvania. And then for the next, going on and on and on, for possibly the next 8 months, it'll be from Florida. So looking forward to getting back down there. And for the first time, spending Thanksgiving and Christmas in Florida this year. So that is it. And I'll see you next week. Same time, same channel. Bye-bye, everybody.